So hi guys, it's Philip English from RoboPhil, and we've got another interview today. We've got Henry Woods, who's got some interesting robots to show us. So we'll have a quick overview and obviously a discussion around the robots. So Henry, could you give us a quick intro, please?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm one of the founders of Inovo Robotics. We set up the company about 3 years ago to develop modular robots that could be used in batch manufacturing environments. So what we did was design a system where you could plug together different sections of arm to physically change the reach and payload of the arm depending on the job, with the intention that batch manufacturers don't necessarily know what jobs they'll be doing in the future. So the flexibility to repurpose the robot between different tasks is absolutely critical.
Yeah, so I can definitely see the advantage, especially if you want to use one robot and quickly change to a different line, but you need a robot that's longer or shorter. You can quickly literally just swap the module out, make sure the gripper's working, and then you're going again instead of having to sort of actually change the physical locations of how the line works. So I can definitely see the advantage. So was it you and John who were the two founders? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so myself and John originally founded the company. Before that, we'd worked together at Northrop Grumman for a number of years, where we were very involved in the development of a bomb disposal robot, which was basically a mobile platform with a modular robot arm on it that could be used to go in and look at suspicious packages in cars or bags and things like that. So what the MOD had to face the challenge there was that they never knew what form the object was that they'd be dealing with. So they'd go on site and they'd need to put the robot together with the right kind of length, links and things like that to handle the particular job they were doing.
Right, I see. So that's the background there. So was that an academic company, or is that a corporate?
No, Northrop Grumman's a really large American defence company, and they typically sold in the US only, and they were really keen to get into the UK market, and so this opportunity came up for them probably about 10 years ago. They worked with a UK company to do that, and then they acquired the UK company.
Wow. Okay. And those guys, do they do a whole host of different types of bomb disposal like robots? Though I've seen.
It's a funny cycle with defence. I mean, the defence typically have a really long list of requirements, and they'll spend a lot of money getting a system that works, and then it has quite a long lifespan. I mean, most of the defence equipment is life for at least 10 years. So they'll invest in a new system. They'll try and put everything in it imaginable, and then it will keep on working for quite a long time. So it's much longer cycles than consumer products or typical industrial products.
That's interesting. Okay, I never knew that. So you have a longer life cycle. All right, I have to do a bit more research into those types of technology. I know that you have like the Irobot army types of robots. I've seen those, and there's kinetic as well.
Yes, that's actually John's background was from Kinetic, so he'd worked at Kinetic before that, and they were a collaborator in that project. Irobot's an interesting one because the American company make vacuum cleaners as a consumer product, and then they make bomb disposal robots for the defence sector as well. So they're completely different markets, but obviously there's quite a lot of overlap in the technology inside.
Right, I see. So I suppose they're trying to get the best of both worlds there. To use that tech. Okay, for
Innovo, yeah.
Robotics. So is the name from is it coming from like innovation? Is that what the name?
Yeah, really just come from the idea of innovation, just trying to sort of show it's a kind of evolution in the step of. I mean, robotics has got a long history, and industrial robots go back probably 40 or 50 years, really, with sort of Industry 3.0, where you had very dumb, very quite precise, but very deterministic robots that were working on production lines, putting doors on cars and things like that.
Yeah.
And as time goes forward, you see this technology getting into sort of smaller companies, much more agile companies. Traditional industrial robots don't really fit those environments. You have to spend a lot of money integrating an industrial robot into a cell, and that and then it's quite fixed. You normally have to put a cage in. There's normally a lot of custom tools designed. The programming is pretty complex. It's normally pretty skilled task to actually program an industrial robot. So all that equals a large investment, and it only really makes sense if you're doing something in really large volumes like the car industry, where they'll be building millions of cars hour on hour, day on day. And that industry justifies it. But when you've got an industry that's much more agile, that's doing different jobs for different customers or iterating products really fast, it's really hard for them to use the same model because they can't spend a lot of money and a lot of time automating a task that's going to change in 2 weeks. That just doesn't add up.
Yeah.
So they've kind of been stuck doing things manually. And then a new generation of robots came out when Universal Robot sort of brought out their first offering, and it started to show that you could use these in more agile environments, but it's a continual evolution, and we think we're kind of taking it further with the modularity. It's really flexible in hardware as well as software, and we put a lot of focus on making our software easy to use, and we've developed an arm which can be reapplied to a really wide range of different tasks.
Right, fantastic. Yeah, no, again, I can definitely see like the problems that you're solving there, sort of thing. If we're a small manufacturer, a small engineering company that does have a repetitive task, then yeah, you want something that's easy to use, quick and simple, and can work with other people as well. So, and as you said, like you haven't got to put a cage around it. Yeah, and it's a lot safer. It's a lot safer from that side. So, can it take any grippers? I saw you had one of the robotic ones.
Yeah, that's right. So we're using the ISO tool coupling. So it's a pretty standard 4-bolt fixing. You find some people are making their own brackets or making adapters for the end, but you can plug on a standard on-robot or robotic gripper as well mechanically.
Yeah.
We were never really a fan of having a long cable running down the arm because that's always a pain if the robot's moving and you can snag the cable or stretch the cable. And so we put quite a lot of work making our robot so it can drive the tool from the wrist. So there's a connector on the wrist. You can select the kind of robot tool that you're using, and we support on-robot and robotique, and we're adding to that library all the time. And then it can just be connected straight at the wrist.
Right, fantastic. And then for the vision, I know a lot of the grippers come with their own like vision, but can you put a vision system on it as well, or would you have that separate? I've seen them where they have it separate and then they pick up it.
It varies a lot actually. It depends what the application is. Vision can get quite expensive quite quickly. You can be looking at a sort of £15,000-20,000 robot, and you can easily spend the same on a vision system. So it really comes down to the application and what you need to do. But there are some more affordable systems. Data Logic make a really nice little simple built-in camera module with some machine vision in it. All of those sort of systems you can connect to our software fairly easily because most of those cameras have an interface where you can say, find this object and give me the coordinates. And then in the software, you can say, read the coordinate from the camera and go to that point. So you have to do a bit of that integration yourself, but it's really not that hard. And we're putting together tutorials and guides and templates and things to make that easier for people. Longer term, we may well build some simple vision into our robot natively, but for our first release, it will be a matter of working with the off-the-shelf systems.
Right. And then for the solution right at the moment, how many modules can you screw in? Can you just go higher and higher and higher, or is there a set limit? Or
yeah, there's a set limit. I mean, basically what you're doing is you're trading off the payload to the reach. So as you make the arm longer, you've got a lighter payload. But what we found was that you get a lot of applications where they need a bit more reach than the standard UR5 robot, that you maybe need 1.1, 1.2 meters. And that's often because people are loading pallets. So when you've got an end of line or a machine tending task and you're picking parts out of the machine or off a conveyor, you're putting them on a pallet. The pallet itself is normally about a meter across. So you need an arm that can cover that whole area. But we found a lot of people were handling fairly light objects, small boxes, small parts that were weighing a few hundred grams, maybe a kilo, maybe 1.5 kilos, 2 kilos. But these people were generally forced to buy quite a high-end robot. They'd be looking at a UR10 to be able to do that job because they needed the reach. They didn't really need 10 kilos. So we saw in all the applications we studied that something like 85-90% of them were only handling items up to a couple of kilos, but a lot of them needed that long reach. And so what we're letting people do is get the robot, set it up with a similar reach, maybe 1.2, 1.3 meters. They'll only have a payload of about 3 kilos at that reach, but that still seems to be serving a really, really big section of the customers out there. If you set it up with a shorter reach, the payload can be up to 10 kilos. So at a 650 millimeter reach, you can lift 10 kilos there. At about 850, 900 millimeters, you can lift 5 kilos.
Right.
And if you're going right out to the longer reaches of 1.3 meters, then you're down to about 3 kilos.
Right, I see. And have you got a product name similar to UR? Well, I suppose if you're adaptable, like you can do, as you said, from 10 all the way up to 1 kilo. So yeah.
Yeah. So exactly. So it's all the same product. It's all the same core parts, but just different length link tubes. So it's essentially one kit, and people can buy different length tubes if they want to create longer reaches. So we're kind of looking at a starter kit where you've got the 3 joint modules, which is a 6 degree of freedom arm, and two link tubes. So you can basically set it up with no link tube or a short link tube, and then that would give you the flexibility to set up an arm between about 600 millimeters and about 900 millimeters. Right. And then if people want to have longer reaches, they can just buy another link section. There's not a lot in the link section. It's just a coupling, a connector, a tube, and some wires. So that's not really the expensive part of the technology. So you're looking at a fairly small cost just to add a longer link tube.
Right. I can definitely see like the adaptability. I mean to like challenge the idea a bit. I mean, if you get like someone like me, like who's a bit clumsy, is it possible to not connect the tube properly and then issues or?
Not really. The way the coupling goes together, it won't lock if it's not in properly. It certainly won't move. So you couldn't put it together without locking it and then swing the arm around and the end fly off. It's got interlocks that stop that happening. The actual software detects what you plug in, so the user doesn't have to set up the robot and then tell the software what it is. As soon as you plug in a part, it auto identifies it. So whatever you put together, the software immediately shows the same kind of 3D model of what you built, and it's ready to move immediately. So you don't have to do you don't have to get the software in sync with the hardware. You don't have to do calibration steps and things like that. Just plug and play, basically.
Plug and play. Fantastic. So where do you see, I suppose, like, what's the vision then for, like, you guys, I suppose, to make it more and more adaptable and more pieces and more bits, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. I mean, what we're doing is we're getting a kind of basic starter kit out there as the first product. Okay. And so that will let people change the reach and cover sort of 3 to 10 kilos with different length links. I mean, longer term, it's a whole ecosystem really, because the connector and the way we've designed the software and interface means we can keep bringing out new modules that will be compatible. So longer term, we can bring out different tools, we can bring out different types of tubes. I mean, our arm is a 6 degree freedom arm at the moment, but a 7th degree would just be a link tube that's got a rotate built into it.
Right.
So someone can buy a 6 degree freedom arm now, they can upgrade it to a 7DOF arm in the future without writing off anything they bought. So it's giving it a lot of kind of future expandability.
So you future-proofed it, yeah. So people can add on to it, sort of buy into the range, as you said, buy into the ecosystem of all the new products. Mm-hmm. What was I going to ask then? Yeah, I think this would work. Have you had any healthcare like examples? I mean,
in terms of applications?
Yeah.
Interesting question. I mean, these are strange times right now. Every company is sort of looking at different opportunities with the current COVID-19 situation. I mean, prior to that, we were focused on manufacturing as our main target area, and thinking longer term about applications where there's more need for AI and vision and things like that, which is really exciting growth areas, but the technology's less proven and there's more work to do there. So our plan was always to focus on manufacturing at the beginning, but start to expand into things like farming and food tech and pharmaceuticals and all these areas where you need a bit more technology on top of it. With current situation with the COVID-19, there's new opportunities springing out in terms of testing and cleaning and desanitizing and things like that. So we're exploring all those areas at the moment. For healthcare, we're not developing a sort of surgical robot. that's a different level of certification. That's a big barrier.
Right.
So that's not an immediate focus. But that said, there are things in healthcare that aren't surgery where you're not contacting the patient directly. If you're holding cameras above a patient or things like that, then they're much more accessible, and so some opportunities there that we're also involved in.
Right, fantastic. And then are you allowed to give us a rough sort of like cost of
Yeah, in terms of price point, we're somewhere a bit below 20,000 is our target price for basically a starter kit, for something where you could put together an arm like this and you could reconfigure it in a few different lengths. So that would be the arm, a couple of link tubes, the control box, and the software.
Right, fantastic. Right, so great. So vision-wise, I mean, obviously, I know we're in a lockdown situation right at the moment. I mean, what do you see as a vision sort of in robotics in general?
Well, I think one of the things that's been really, really apparent during the lockdown is that we're very reliant on importing things from other countries, and that doesn't always work. And we've seen it a lot in the news with the NHS struggling to get hold of loads of PPE and ventilators and other equipment. And most of this is because it's made overseas and people have stopped exporting it because they're using it themselves. So what is really highlighted is that I think post-lockdown, there's going to be more focus on manufacturing more things in the UK. And if we're going to do that and we're going to scale up manufacturing in the UK again, then we're going to need more automation, because if we're going to do it in a cost competitive way and we're going to be producing more things here, then we're going to need more automation. So I can see a fairly quick growth in more automation being used in batch processes, and more companies investing in robot arms and AGVs and other equipment to help them produce more here in a more scalable way.
Fantastic, yeah. And as you said, it's about all the being self-sufficient, and as you're saying, like it's not just what we so we can work in the health and industry, but then we can go into the agriculture and a whole host of businesses there. So yeah, no, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, agriculture is really interesting. There's been quite a lot of press around that recently as well. The challenges they've had finding workforce that are willing to sort of pick fruit or tend crops, and I mean that's a really big growth area I can see in the next few years, where more robots and vision systems are being used to automate fruit picking and crop production. So I think that's an exciting area to watch as well.
Fantastic. So yeah, so could you take us through like I suppose like the opportunity sort of, or like the next like action steps like to work with you guys?
Sure. Well, I mean, what we've found, we've been speaking to a lot of different potential users out there, and what we're finding is there's a kind of growing appetite with smaller companies, with batch manufacturing and SME companies who haven't previously used automation, but they can see it being important part of the future of their future. And not all of them have necessarily got a really clear idea of exactly what they want to automate, but they know there's a lot of repetitive manual tasks going on in their business, and they just want to start that journey. They want to basically get hold of a robot and start exploring where it will work, and they've normally got one or two ideas in mind, but there may be lots of different opportunities. So one of the things where we're really, really strong is that a customer can do that. They can get hold of a robot, and because you can reconfigure the robot in so many different ways, they can test it out. They can try it in lots of different tasks around their business. And we found it really popular in research centres, where you've got large companies that have got dedicated research departments, and they're looking at all the different tasks they might be able to automate. This is ideal for them because they can run through proof of concepts and do trials with lots of things without having to bin it because they need to get a new robot with a longer reach, or get hold of a new robot because it needs a different configuration. And similarly, small companies where there's different tasks and they're on that learning curve, that journey in terms of becoming more automated, this is ideal for them as well, because they can get hold of it and they can set it up on an application, and then they can move it to a new one, and they can learn all of the nuances of actually automating tasks and how it can help them grow.
Yeah, so I think that's fantastic, because I mean, from like you could go into a customer and just say, well, look, you can get the robot for this basic task, but actually you can try all these other tasks. You can buy the accessories, and you can really have a play and bring like automation into the business. As you said, at a relative low cost. So I think that's a brilliant opportunity, really, and the whole module side of it is brilliant as well. As you said, it's just that flexibility to change things around really, really easily. So that's been really, really good. I mean, thanks for that, Henry. I mean, what's the best way to get in contact? Is it to go to your website?
Yeah, please do. So, I mean, if you want to get in contact directly, then please send an email to info@inovorobotics.com, and we'll get back to you straight away on that. We're currently doing beta trials with a number of customers, and we've got capacity to do some more. So, if you're a business where you've been thinking about automating things and you're keen to try it out, let us know. Send me an email, and we'll come and have a look. We'll look at your application, and potentially we could do a beta trial for a few months just to prove the concept, and then that could turn into a solution for you. So please let us know.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, Henry, no, that's very much appreciated. Thanks for your time today. It's been a great interview and a great overview of the robots. So it's very much appreciated, sir.
No, really, really nice talking to you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.